views and opinions expressed by callers, guests, and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of the Black Talk Radio Network and Black Talk Media Project. Black Talk Radio is new black media for the new millennium.
The Mind, Body, and Spirit Radio Show. Wait a second. Let me see. I'm getting an echo. Let me. What? All right, people. How about that? How about that? Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Featherlight. Happy New Year, Scotty. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Scotty.
Yes. Happy New Year, Otis. I see Otis in the house. That was a great show. I was listening to the brothers on the New Abolitionist Radio Show speaking, putting out that information, and the sister called in, and she mentioned that she had been to the Civil Rights Museum, and how the film spoke about how the 13th Amendment ended slavery, with the ellipsis and all of that stuff. So I really appreciate the brothers talking about that. And, Brother Light and Scotty and Otis, we have grown up in this time period, whereas we've seen the transition in how, I know I'm kind of getting off topic and speaking on something that the brothers spoke about, but I was just listening and I wanted to remember to mention this. We've grown up in a time period, whereas, because we've had some cousins and uncles and brothers that was in jail, so we know how it is, or at least you heard about it. But remember when their items that they would have to pick up from, I guess it's the commissary, commissary or the canteen. Remember when all of that stuff like the lotion and all of that was free?
Right.
And, and it's just a shame how they have to pay for this. You incarcerate these people and then, you make them pay for every single thing. Every little thing, a pen, paper, everything.
The companies.
Right. Yes. And all of that, those items used to be free for those people. And I think it is wrong. I just wanted to make a point that Scotty mentioned how they should at least be paid a minimum wage so that when they are released, then they will have some type of money saved so that they can go out and rent an apartment or a room or something like this so that they can get themselves started versus coming out. And then some of them may have a debt because they owe her. That's just insane.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's so wrong. That is so wrong. Think of the companies that have profited while they were serving time,
Yeah, I was driving into Houston today, and I was right on the side of a jail truck, one of the prison trucks, and I just looked at the truck, and it just broke my heart because, of course we know, like some people, they have committed crimes, they do need to serve some time, but for innocent people, which we know there's so many innocent people that are locked up and enslaved, so I just, it's just horrible how this system has changed. It's just, goodness gracious. What you say, let's see. Now they still have fines and restitution and parole fees, exactly. When they come out, Then they have to pay all of these parole fees, and I was like, what the heck? So I got to pay you now to still monitor me? Oh, Lord have mercy.
Wow.
And speaking of which, and then I'll get into our show. Speaking of which, I was listening to somebody today talking about this picture. It was like a holiday picture from some Georgia prison, and they were out in a cotton field. Scotty, let me know if you heard about this picture, if you've been able to view it. But they were like out in the cotton field in Georgia, and it was like the officers and some of the prisoners, and they just smiling like they're taking a picture on a Christmas card or something. And so people had some, opinions about that Christmas, this photo. It's like, oh, we're happy and we're out here in the field, in the cotton field. And so some people were like, did the ancestors tap you and possibly say, hey, maybe you shouldn't be smiling while you're in your prison uniform out in the cotton field? I don't know. But Happy New Year and welcome in to the Mind, Body, and Spirit radio show. We are so happy to be back. We made it to this year, 2018, and looking forward to our show tonight. So let me just open up with a quote. Tonight we are honoring one of my favorites, Dr. John Henry Clarke, for our African Spirit segment. And this is a quote from Dr. John Henry Clarke. History is not everything, but it's a starting point. History is a clock that people use to tell their political and cultural time of day. It is a compass they use to find themselves on the map of human geography. It tells them where they are, but more importantly, what they must be. That's a quote by Dr. John Henry Clarke, whose birthday was January the 1st. So we are honoring him tonight and wanted to open up with that quote.
Thank you. Thank you. I like that.
Cool.
Thank you.
Cool.
I like everything he has to say. He is such a wise elder. Had so much to share. So much to share.
All right, quote for us, Featherlight.
Yes, I do. And this one says, sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but actually you've been planted. So grow. Grow where you are. Grow where you are.
I know that's right.
Because I've been in some dark places myself.
Like the song, Anita Baker's song, In the Valley. If you're in the valley, and like the go unkind. Like this one. So, tonight, we have a great show, Featherlight. We are going to welcome in tonight for our guest, Milton Lawrence Jr. He is the executive producer of the Black Love docuseries that airs on Facebook Watch on Thursday nights. And the title of it is Will You Marry Me? Will You Marry Me? You can watch that on Facebook Watch. Yes. Talking about Black love, couples. We always see these stories about, we used to see so many stories about deadbeat dads and all of that. But I'm so glad that over the past few years, we started with social media. It helps show those pictures and tell those stories about fathers that are in the children's lives, great couples, couples loving each other, being together. There was just an announcement about Will and Jada Smith. They've been together for 20 years. I was like, 20 years?
Yeah, that's a long time.
I remember before they were married. Shoot, I remember when she was just on A Different World. And he was the Fresh Prince.
Right.
And
right.
parents just don't understand and all of that. So I was like, man, I'm old.
Summertime.
Getting old. But don't nothing get old
Yes,
before
indeed.
and they come back in style.
Mm-hmm.
So
20
Black
years.
Love, 20 years. So congratulations to them. Congratulations to them and all the couples that have stayed together and worked it out and made it beautiful. Relationships and marriage take work. It takes a lot of work. So,
Yes, they
and
do.
it can be a lot of fun and healthy and great for you. So I'm just really looking forward to having him talk about the show. I did get a chance to watch some of the episodes, and they're short episodes. I mean, like you can watch. I think he has like 3, maybe 4 episodes up, and they're only like 8 to 10 minutes long, something like that. So they're not long at all to watch. You can definitely check those. And we want to support that brother and other Black artists that are putting out some good content like that. So looking forward to the conversation.
It's good.
It's
very good to see something positive out. It's encouraging, inspiring, uplifting. Yeah, it's good.
Yes,
I'm glad he came up with this. We need more of it.
I am too. And so you can check out his series by going to willyoumarryme.com. So willyoumarryme.com. And check out those shows. Hot series. It's taking Facebook by storm, and another reason why I'm really interested in hearing about how he started this is because this is something that we want to do with another one of our media ventures is promote some shows on Facebook Watch and some other outlets too. So we got to go ahead on and do all of this before they shut the darn internet down. Lord have mercy. I have another quote, kind of like wise words. Expect more from yourself and less from others. I like that a lot. Expect more from yourself and less from others, because so many times we have these high expectations for other people. I know I've been like that. Like I expect for people to be nice or kind or considerate, and it's not there. It just doesn't happen. And I had to learn to not always expect people to be the way that I am or the way that I want them to be, rather. Let me say that. The way I want them to be. I have to let them be them. That's them.
Right.
So just focus on me and let them do them. And just work it like
you have less disappointment. Less disappointment.
So you won't disappoint yourself. That's right. Condolences go out to the Gardner family. Erica Gardner, as some of you may know, she was 27 years of age, had an asthma attack, which then escalated to a heart attack, and she transitioned on December 30th. And she was born May 29th, 1990. And Erica Gardner was one of the daughters of Eric Gardner, of course, who was killed on camera by Daniel Pentinello up in Staten Island, or Staten Island, as they call it up that way. So, poor baby. Some people attributed to her, the stress that she was going through of fighting for justice for her father. She had become a speaker and an activist in the area of police reform. She was a supporter of Bernie Sanders. So the little sister, she was getting in the movement, and now she's gone. This life can be stressful. Racism, the stress associated with racism can be, it can take its toll.
It really can.
Us. And you have to take care of yourself, balance it out, have some laughter and fun.
Meditate.
And meditate. And know the scope of what you're dealing with. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Scotty, you said she was also a victim of domestic violence, and her boyfriend tried to force her to have an abortion. I didn't know
Really?
that. Mm. I didn't know
Oh.
that. I followed her on Twitter. I did not know that. Oh my goodness. Oh, such a young girl, 27 years of age. Mm. Her estate, New York settled with the Gardner family for $5.9 million. So I don't know if they had already received that money. Let me see. It seems like I did read that they were awarded the money, but you know how sometimes it takes a while. So I don't know if they had received that money or not. I'm not in communication with them, so I really don't know. But I mean, I just want to send out my condolences to the family because that's just absolutely horrible. It's just sad. It's really sad.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. She went through so much, and then to have to leave, like that.
Mm-hmm.
It is very stressful being African American in this country. Period. Daily stress.
Yeah, I made an appointment. I finally made an appointment with a therapist, a counselor. I have to reschedule though because I had it scheduled for this Saturday, but I have to go to Austin. So I'm upset now. I have to reschedule that. But I am going to see my therapist, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I should have continued. I should have continued my counseling years ago, but I'm starting back to go and see a counselor, especially after all of this Hurricane Harvey that we went through. That crap was stressful as hell. That was stressful as hell. And then life itself, like you mentioned, it's stressful. So I am definitely a promoter of having a therapist, counselor, or confident someone that you can talk to and share your thoughts with. But I'm not going to make this all about me. Beverly, did you want to share something about Kwanzaa now?
Oh,
or was
sure.
It spoken word? Okay.
Yeah, I'll let's see. Kwanzaa. Now, a lot of people are familiar with Kwanzaa, but some may just have a little bit of information about it. So I wanted to answer a couple of questions like what is Kwanzaa, who created or started it, when and why, what do you do, and what are the principles. So Dr. Maulana Karenga, professor and chairman of Black Studies at California State University, Long Beach, created Kwanzaa in 1966 after the Watts riot in Los Angeles. Dr. Karenga searched for ways to bring African Americans together as a community, and that was the basis of him creating this ceremony and this celebration for people of color as an African American and Pan-African holiday celebrated by millions throughout the world African community. Kwanzaa brings a cultural message which speaks to the best of what it means to be African and human in its fullest sense. It is with the deepest hope that the holiday will be fully engaged as an ancient and living cultural tradition which reflects the best of African thought and practice in its reaffirmation of the dignity of the human person in community and culture, the well-being of family and community, the integrity of the environment and our kinship with it, and the rich resource and meaning of a people's culture. Kwanzaa is a week-long celebration by the community, beginning the day after Christmas. It's usually a public celebration, but it can also be held in your private home. It's held by the community.
That was my first introduction. When we used to go to your friend's house, Eacher.
Yeah, Eacher, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
She was so Afrocentric.
Oh, long before being Afrocentric was popular.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
She was always pro African American.
Mm-hmm.
I learned so much from her. One thing, and I want to insert this very quickly, that I learned from from this friend is that one day she said, have you ever been walking down the mall and it's just you, and then you're approaching about 3 or 4 people of European descent, and it's nowhere for you to move, and they act like they're not going to move, and usually we have to step aside. She says, I just walk right through, and I just try to knock somebody's shoulder out. And I was pretty young. I guess I was about 35 or something like that. And I thought, you know, but now I find myself doing the same thing. Anywho, because I have just as much right to walk on the sidewalk as anyone else. So it's a week-long celebration, giving special honor and reverence to our ancestors, with each day representing a principle to live by. For how long? Just throughout the year. The ceremony begins by asking permission from the elders present. I'm one of the elders. I made it. Followed by libations, pouring water into the earth, usually a plant, and calling out the names of those who have come before us and transition. The youth are encouraged, and I really like that. I loved seeing you youth get out and, showcase their talent. The youth are encouraged to participate in the celebration with their talents, starting with the candle lighting for the principals, a bountiful feast to serve all kind of good food. Entrepreneurs promote their wares, as African people do. And the celebration is also practiced by individual families with friends, and extended families are invited to their home with the same practices performed, from honoring and giving tribute to the elders and ancestors to encouraging our youth. African attire is welcome but not required. So the principles quickly, umoja. I'm looking at the pronunciation when I can just look at the word. Success starts with unity of family, community, nation, and race. Kuji Shakalia. Self-determination, to be responsible for ourselves, to create our own destiny. Ujuma, collective work and responsibility, to build and maintain your community together, to work together, to help one another within the community. Ujama, collective economics, to build, maintain, and support our own stores, establishments, tongue-tied, and businesses. And Nia, purpose, to restore African American people to their traditional greatness, to be responsible to those who came before, our ancestors, and to those who will follow, our descendants. Kuumba, creativity, using creativity and imagination to make your communities better than what you inherited. And last, Imani, faith, believing in our people, our families, our educators, our leaders, and the righteousness of the African American struggle. And that is what Kwanzaa is all about.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste. Before our guest comes on, I just want to mention a couple of hot topics. I came across this story about Cartersville 70. Excuse me. There was a birthday / New Year's party. I think this was somewhere in Georgia. And there were 70 young people that were arrested because less than an ounce of marijuana was found at a party, and no one claimed it when the police came. Now, the cops were actually called because some fireworks were going off down the street. And so then the cops came to this house without a warrant. The young people were at this Airbnb. They rented out a home through Airbnb. And so the police found a gun, which was not any of the guests' gun. It didn't belong to them. It belonged to the people who owned the home. So all 70 of these young people were arrested.
Wow.
And as of last night, I think 63 of them had bailed out, but bail money is still needed for the rest. I don't know if they've raised the rest of the bail money. That's absolutely crazy. Now, this is what really, really upsets me about this, because when cops come to a house where someone has OD'd on heroin or something like that, no one is arrested. No one is arrested. These people are taken to treatment centers. They're offered help. But you find less than an ounce, even here in Texas, with less than an ounce of marijuana. I mean, it's been legalized here. And even one of the lawyers stated that they could have all been given a citation.
Right.
You don't arrest all 70 people for less than an ounce of marijuana. When you got people around here shooting up heroin on the bus and everywhere else, you go into the house, they have all kind of paraphernalia and heroin and all of this stuff, drugs, stolen property, all because these people, they go and break in all kinds of homes and everything, so that they can buy the heroin and breaking into people's homes and stealing their pills. So I mean, I just think that that's so upsetting to me that these young people were arrested. All of them were arrested, and in California, California has turned to become a new country at the first of the year because California legalized sales of recreational marijuana. Mm-hmm. And about 100 dispensaries open. Even Mike Tyson is opening up a marijuana ranch. And it's Mike Tyson and two business partners. They are opening up an eclectic escape covering 40 acres of land in California. And this is like north of Los Angeles. Half of the property will be dedicated for use by professional pot growers looking to cultivate new strains and researchers who want to know more about the benefits of marijuana. They also have what is called glamping. It's a glamorous style of camping. And there's an edibles factory, an amphitheater, and an extraction area. So, I mean, we have on one side of the country where you can go and you can buy and you can do your glamping and sit out there and chill and smoke and grow and do research and all of this.
To your heart's content.
Right. But then you're arresting 70 young people because somebody had less than an ounce of marijuana. This is crazy. It's wrong. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. At all. So that's the Cartersville 70. If you are on any kind of social media, check that story out or Google the story, and you can find out more about that. And I said I was going to check tonight and see if they were still in need of some bail money, because that doesn't make any sense. Some of these were, college students, some in the military. I think there were like 2 minors there also. So it's just horrible. And you go into a birthday party and you get arrested because somebody else has some marijuana. And it's not even like they're trying to sell marijuana. Anything like that. They just add them a little marijuana. Like some young people and older people do.
So many people do.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are profiting very well off marijuana in other states. And then some are being locked up for 10, 15, 20 years. This is crazy.
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. And I have to look more into it because I think that California is trying to reform the laws and in terms of some people that have been incarcerated for like drug sales or something, so that they will be able to, once they're released, they can then look into becoming a part of this new industry. But with them having a felony, it's difficult for them to be able to participate in this new industry. So those laws have to be adjusted and changed. And I hope so, because if people have been incarcerated because of marijuana in certain states years ago and now it's legal, it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. So let's welcome in our guest for tonight. And Mr. Milton Lawrence Jr. Welcome in. How are you?
I'm extremely well. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We can. I'm glad that you're extremely well. I, too, am extremely well, doing extremely well. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we want to hear more about, oh, yes, of course. Your series has taken Facebook by storm, I'm told. I tell you one thing, I did get a chance to read some of the episodes, the episodes of Will You Marry Me? And I am loving it. Oh my gosh, the cinematography is beautiful. And when I looked at some of the episodes and then I started reading your bio, I said, oh, no wonder the cinematography is beautiful, because he's a special photographer and a cinematographer. So welcome in, loving the episodes. I will continue tuning in. Now, just go back and tell us a little bit about yourself. Now, I know that, let me just share with people first a little bit about Will You Marry Me? And you're an international lifestyle wedding photographer, filmmaker, philanthropist, and as we mentioned, a cinematographer. And this docu-series was produced with the express intent to introduce the man's perspective into the wedding conversation. What made you want to introduce the man's perspective in your series?
So over the last 9 years, I've been shooting weddings all over the world. And so typically when you look online and you see TV shows like Yes to the Dress, Bridezilla, and many other popular, wedding series, typically it's from the woman's perspective, dealing with logistics, dealing with her gown, selecting her gown, and things like that. And what you rarely hear is the man perspective. And you juxtapose that to someone who actually shoots real weddings. Men really do have a perspective, and it's just something that you don't hear. And so I wanted to introduce the male's perspective, but do it in such a way where it complemented the story, and not from a negative perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we tend to focus more on the bride when it comes to weddings, and I've always been one of those people. Marriage was not something that was like at the top of my list. I didn't feel like I had to marry someone as soon as I graduated from college or high school, anything like that. And I always said, oh yeah, when I get married, my husband and his family, they can plan the wedding. I just want to show up. I would like for the wedding to be on the beach. I just want to show up in my simple dress, or maybe even a linen dress or something. It doesn't have to be a really expensive dress. That's always been my idea of my wedding. And so I like the fact that you said, let's take this from a male's perspective. Let's include the men, because I wanted my husband to be involved. I didn't want to be the one planning everything. So I do like the fact that you are coming from a male's perspective, because we need the male's perspective in this area that it's been omitted.
Right. So I would say that, two things. One, you sound like the typical male. If you talk to most grooms or most men, when they propose to their lady, to be honest with you, some of them want a traditional wedding, but for the most part, many of them will say, I could care less about a wedding. When I decided to propose to you, meaning we can get married today or tomorrow, all of the wedding stuff, those are formalities that are extremely important, but the far majority of the men that I've shot their weddings, and many of them I've interviewed, they said, man, I love you. I love her. So, or if it's a partner situation, I love you. All the rest of that stuff is for the, it's just for the family, and, just to make it, make it publicly known and that type of thing. But at the end of the day, we could be under a tree, find an officiant, getting married, and life is good. To go back to your previous conversation, your previous question, one of the things I did not mention is that, you asked, why did I start the show? Every man has two defining moments. And that's really the premise for the entire show. Every man has two defining moments. One, when he decides to make his lady that he's dating his girlfriend. Okay, there's a defining moment that happens there, and this is conversation that's never talked about. Okay, typically in the barbershops you may hear it, maybe on the basketball court, and maybe private conversations with, with his homeboy or his best man. But you rarely ever hear the man side. The other side. Hello?
Milton, I think we lost you. Yes, now we can hear you.
It sounds like it put me on mute. Not sure the last thing you heard me say. Are you there?
Yes, I think that the last thing we heard you say. Yeah, just go ahead.
So essentially, the last piece of that is his second defining moment is when he decides to make her his wife. And so again, This conversation is not spoken about publicly. Literally, typically it happens in the barbershop or amongst close men friends, or maybe with the parents and that type of thing. She's the one. I'm ready to to go forward with her.
Mm-hmm. Yes. In the series, you interview some of the couples, and you ask a series of questions. Well, a series of questions are asked of them. How did you come up with these questions?
So the questions actually came up from a game that's typically played at weddings. Depending on So sometimes they will play games at weddings where, and it's just to get people involved, right? Whenever brides and grooms want to do something different, what they'll do is they'll sit the couples back to back, and then they'll ask them a series of questions. Who's the to make it fun, right? And it's what's funny about this is the audience, as much as they're listening to the questions for the couple, they're also asking those same questions about themselves, right? Okay, who's the cleaner of the relationship? Who's the better with money? Who's the shopper? Those types of questions. And it forces you to ask yourself those introspective questions about yourself and the relationship. Who wears the pants in the relationship? And those types of things. And so that's really what makes it fun. But then still, kind of pivoting a little bit and start asking some of those more serious questions. What was those defining moments? Was there a series of things? Was there just one thing that happened? But typically those questions, they're generated from weddings that I've shot over the years.
Some of the questions that I took note of: who has the most shoes? Who likes to shop the most? I thought those were so cute. Who takes the longest to get dressed? And I think it was maybe episode 1, and the guy said that he takes longer to get dressed. I was like, Lord, have mercy. I know. Look.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you, Milton, I had a friend that was like that. He would take forever getting dressed. When it was time to go, he would still be, washing his face or something like that. I was like, what are you doing? Yeah, so it was just good hearing some of those questions, like who cooks, the irritating acts, like what does this person do to maybe like kind of get on your nerves a little bit.
I thought it was
funny. Yeah. It was funny. It was really.
I hear that piece.
The irritating acts, like what does this person do to kind of like irritate you or agitate you a little bit?
Oh yeah, the agitator in the relationship, because most people, after you've been with somebody for a little while, obviously, the things that agitates the crap out of them, right? And so sometimes, if if the person doesn't want to be bothered, maybe he or she will come in and start messing with them. In episode 4, I'll just give you guys a quick sneak peek. That comes out tomorrow. The show comes on every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. And so tomorrow the show comes on where you talked about who takes longer to get dressed. When it really gets funny when he says, well, she takes the longest to get dressed, and then she says he takes the longest to get dressed, and it's always that dynamic that just makes it really, really funny when they don't. Here's a real fun one: who came on to who first? Some couples have been together for so long that they don't really remember who came on to who first. So the way they see it, there's his side, her side, and then there's the truth, which is always fun.
Yes. I think may have been episode 2 when I think it's the couple, and I believe they're in line waiting for something, and they begin to talk. And she says, "I'll give you my number if you can guess the first 3 digits." Yes, and he was able to. That's fascinating. He was able to guess the first 3 numbers. I think it was like 276, but the first 3 numbers.
Well, so
Yeah.
I got to tell you the funny part about that. So when I was interviewing them, I had to stop back and think to myself, they've been together for close to 20 years. Right?
Yes.
They've been married for, right. They've been together for close to 20 years, been married for 12. And so they did a vow renewal. Now, the funny part about this is, I'm from Baltimore. The couple's from Baltimore. And back, if you remember 20 years ago, most cities only had 1 to 2 prefixes of phone numbers. And you didn't have to dial the zip code. Not the zip code, but the area code. You just dialed 7 numbers. So during that time frame, you only had, 1 or 3 phone numbers prefixes that you could call. So when she asked if you can get the first 3 numbers on my phone number, you notice he didn't mention the area code. It was just the first 3 numbers of it. So hindsight, when I look back, it's funny. But when you really think about it, he only had 3 choices. It was and back then it was 276, 675, and there was 1 more, and that was it. So during that time frame, 20 years ago, those were the only 3 options. You didn't have all the cell phone numbers and all that kind of stuff. So, hindsight, I'm not trying to take anything away from him. I'm glad he guessed it. But at the end of the day, he only had 3 options, to be honest. So that's really the funny part.
Oh, okay. And also in the series, I think one of the couples spoke about men respecting their mothers and how that'll give you insight to how he'll treat the women in his life. Now, that's something that, as a young woman, we were always taught. Notice how he treats his mother, his sister, his aunts, the women in his family. If he respects them, then he will respect you. Talk about that for us.
So I think when Constance, in episode number 2, she made that statement. She was obviously talking about her grandmother, that she was sharing wisdom with her that, she didn't really know how to give context to it until she experienced it. I believe as a man that's absolutely true. I took care of my mother the last 3 years of her life before passing away in 2017. And so, when you ask my wife, what was it about, me early on, that kind of attracted her was, how well I took care of my daughters. Because I have 2 children outside of my marriage, and then we have 1 together, right? And so it was that unique relationship the way I treated my girls and the way that I treated my mother, which I actually watched my father. As a matter of fact, this is something in each family. My father's from Trinidad, and the way he would break it down to me was to me and my sister and I, he would say that in my order of priority, I come first because if I'm no good, I can't help you. Then my mother. Then my children, okay? And I never understood that until obviously it was time for me to take care of my mother, because at the end of the day, you only got 1 and you don't get another one. And so it doesn't matter how crazy she treats you. It doesn't matter how crazy things may be. Treat her and your blessings will be in abundance, and I'm living proof of it.
I know that's right. When a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. And when a woman finds a good man, she finds a good thing, too. Definitely. So, when you came up with the idea for this series, you were an international wedding photographer, so you would just go around the world photographing these weddings. Now, you mentioned that you're from Trinidad. Is there a difference in the culture of Trinidadian weddings versus like weddings, say in the U.S., in comparison to anywhere else?
So what I've found over the years is that when you travel throughout the Caribbean, each of the Caribbean islands has a culture, right? So as an example, in Aruba has a Dutch culture. What that means is traditionally in the U.S., whenever you go to a wedding, the couple would be facing the officiant or the pastor or the bishop or whatever the case may be. So their backs would be facing essentially your congregation, right? Where if you go to Aruba, their style, their culture is Dutch, which means the officiant turns his back to the audience, so you can see the faces of the couple. Okay?
Oh.
Right. So every island is different. Every country is different. So it really based on the country's culture, and the other piece to it, which make the difference in the order of priority during the ceremony, will be based on the couple's spiritual background. So whether they're doing a Jewish wedding, or if they're doing a Christian wedding, or if they're doing a kind of a non-denominational wedding. It's just, they don't want it to be very spiritual. So it's more words, and it's less biblical scriptures and things like that. So each wedding has their own little nuance, and we ask those questions up front to make sure that we're prepared, because if you are maybe you say you have a holiness background, and people love to interject and say wow, and like in the South, right? No disrespect, it is what it is. Those types of reactions need to be captured. And so a lot of that stuff, what I found, to answer your questions, across the country and around the world, each wedding is different based off, again, the culture, and also the couple's either spiritual background or I don't want to say lack thereof, because there is no lack thereof. It's what that couple wants presented on that wedding day, if that makes sense.
Yes. Now, I know Indian weddings, they can be very elaborate and quite expensive. I would love to be a guest at one of those Indian weddings, just to see all of the fanfare involved with it. Have you had an opportunity as of yet to photograph an Indian wedding?
So I've assisted. I have not led shot an Indian wedding, but I will tell you they are a lot of fun. It's very detailed, very meticulous. And what I found with my multicultural weddings, right? So Indian weddings, Nigerian weddings, those types of weddings. Weddings are huge in that culture, right? And so sometimes they'll have some type of traditional wedding, and the Indians they have a specific name for it. And so in the Nigerian culture, you'll have a traditional wedding, and then they'll have a white wedding. The traditional wedding is where the families meet. Okay, and sometimes it's multi-day, right? It's multiple days, for some of these weddings, and multiple events. And depending on the how affluent the family is, will be how big that wedding is. Sometimes I've shot at Indian weddings where they're not as elaborate, but they're still multiple days, and that type of thing. And so they are. What you'll find is when they insert their culture into the wedding, it's beautiful. But the coloring, the henna that you see on their hands, their vows, the dancing that goes on. It's an amazing thing to watch how it all comes together.
Definitely. Yes. How did you come up with your film crew? How did you put your film crew together?
So, ironically speaking, another reason why I created the show was I was looking for an exit strategy. After anyone who's been doing weddings at a high level for any period of time, it takes a toll on your body, right? And so my team has been with me. Probably the person that's been with me the shortest has been with me probably about a year. Everybody else has been with me for 5, 6, 7 years. And so the long and short of it is, these people have been shooting weddings with me for a long time. So as I look at the next chapter of my life, I was looking to scale down on the amount of weddings that I was doing. And so we leveraged the team that we already had. And you realize that the technology has made it a lot simpler for a producer to be able to produce a show. You don't need a Hollywood style a film production to be able to put together a good show. And so I think if you have a great storyline and you know how to shoot, you put those two things together, and I think you'll have a quality product that people will love.
Yes, you definitely have a quality product. Did you study film?
So I study film all the time, but I'm all self-taught. My former background is in defense contracting and military. I spent 9 years in the Marine Corps, and then I transitioned out and became a defense contractor. So I have a heavy project management background, which plays very heavily into weddings. doing film production, because it's heavy production. It's heavy production, right? Logistics and timeline management and that type of thing. And so, no. So the short answer is no. I don't have a formal formal training in film. I'm self-taught, and I've studied under some of the biggest names in the wedding industry. And then I put my own little pizzazz to it, right? And so my father obviously is from Trinidad and that type of thing. And so whenever he would cook a pot, of food or whatever the case may be, he would always put his own little ingredients in there. So although I've learned from some of the best, I had to put my own little spin to it to make sure that it was my signature look, my signature feel, so that when you knew when you were hiring, me, you were getting my specialty pot, if that makes some sense.
Oh, yes, it does. We always add that little flair to what we do. And then with you being of Caribbean heritage, I know you had a special little flair. And I can see that in the docuseries, Will You Marry Me? I definitely can. I'm not just saying that because you're here, but I, too, am interested in filming. And that's one reason why I wanted to ask you about any formal training, because this is a time now. We had a show about this last year, how there's like this Black film renaissance. It's like more people are interested in producing content. And I've always been an advocate of us producing content that we want to see versus just complaining about, oh, well, I don't like the way that show has the Black lady with the white man, and this, that. Okay, you don't like it. Okay, you don't like the gay character. You don't like this character or whatever. Why don't you produce something that you like, and maybe we'll like it and we'll support it.
Right.
So I really appreciate you taking that step, doing that, and also mentioning how you're self-taught, because that's what I'm doing. I'm just learning myself, watching different YouTube videos on what cameras I need, lighting. I have taken some classes at a media center just so I can kind of learn some technical aspects of filming. But, I mean, it's just something as simple as that. I mean, we don't now, like you mentioned with technology, we don't have to go to, I can't think of the name of that school, Fulbright, I think, in Florida. We don't have to necessarily go to, NYU, where Spike Lee went to school for film. We can learn all of this information from other people like yourself. Maybe one day you might open up a film school and we can all come to your film school or workshop or classes or something. But I really, 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 Milton, appreciate you taking that step. And like you said, you were looking for an exit strategy. You read this. What was the name of the book that you read and you said, oh, I need to, this changed my life and I want to leave a legacy? What is the name of the book? I had it in my notes here.
4-Hour Work Week.
Yeah,
4-Hour Work Week.
Yeah,
yes.
4-Hour Work Week. Actually, I read that book a long time ago. This is while I was a defense contractor, and just to really piggyback off of the conversation you were just having about how the industry's changing, right? So 5 years ago or 10 years ago, you couldn't produce a show and put it anywhere. You would have to go pitch that show to a major network, and that major network may or may not pick it up. And some people are still, and that still has a very valid vertical, right? That still has it's still a very valid way to get your show, put on air and that type of thing. Me personally, I think I wanted to do that, but I wanted to proof my idea first. And so what I would say to you is, anyone that's out there, whether it's you or anyone of your listeners, if you have an idea for a show, I would say stick to your strong point. If you don't have a background in film and as far as videography is concerned and cinematography, here's the thing. There's enough schools that are out here who have juniors and seniors who are looking to build their portfolio. And so, you could partner with some of those schools who are teaching, or even sometimes even go onto Craigslist and find videographers who, if you have the idea, you have everything laid out, and essentially all they would do is come in with the expertise from a film perspective and come and film it for you, right? And for a few $1,000s, you can actually put together something really, really nice as far as a pilot is concerned, and get it out there to the world and see if people like it before you decide to either invest really big money or either divest and say, well, the people didn't really respond to it the way I wanted it to, so let me move on to something else, or maybe make some tweaks before putting it out there. But absolutely, I believe, learning as much as you can, but I would not spend, if that's really not your background, I wouldn't spend, an exuberant amount of time doing that, when the reality of it is you can stick to your strong point and your strong suit. Allow the videographers and things like that who knows the camera, because it really does to really get a command of the camera. It takes years. It really does. Right? You can learn the basics, but to really get a command of the camera and learning styles and things like that, in that same time frame that it would take you to learn the camera, you could have hired, an aspiring videographer who's maybe coming out of school and say, here's what I want to do. You come in and you shoot it. Let me know what your rate is to edit it, and then you're off to the races.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we've done with the show that we're working on now. We're working on a talk show, and I was able to connect with two videographers. One is he just graduated from a film school, and the other guy, he just goes around and he shoots different videos for people. And they, like you mentioned, they were very interested in just being a part of the project for their portfolio. So it's amazing when you put it out there to the universe how it just comes to you. Mm-hmm. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, so I'm living proof that, honestly, you don't have to go to film school. You don't have to, there's a traditional route. There's a Spike Lee route where you go to NYU, you go to a major film school, get those credits behind you. But the reality of it is 90% of what you're going to learn, you learn in the field. You learn when you're out there making mistakes and you're out there learning and shooting and that type of thing. And getting feedback and getting critiques from people. And that type of thing. And so, I'm excited to hear more about your projects and things like that. And I want people to know that, if you have a project in hand, the reality of it is, most of Hollywood has been built on black films. I'm not making this a black or white thing. I just want to tell the truth. A lot of the major, agencies that are out there, or major brands that are out there that we see today, like Marvel, they have the Black Panther movie that's coming out. Many of those many of those brands were built on, a lot of them were faltering. They were going under, and they came up with some type of black movie or black cast or black lead actor, and that is what catapulted them back into the mainstream, because many of them were faltering. And so here's what I believe. This is no disrespect to some of the big names that are out there. The Denzel Washingtons of the world, the Kerry Washingtons of the world. Many of these people are phenomenal at their craft, but I am one to believe that we have not seen or heard some of the best actors, actresses, and directors that are out there. Many of them don't have the resources. But now, because technology has changed, the barrier of entry has been lowered, and what you're going to start to see over the next 5, 10, 15 years is a new generation of actors, actresses, and producers that, honestly, you would have never known of before, prior to the technology changing and shifting.
Absolutely. Thank goodness for this technology shift, because I totally agree with you. So we're up against a break, but before you leave, could you just please share with us again how people can watch Will You Marry Me, and how can they follow you?
Absolutely. So everyone can go on to facebook.com/Will You Marry Me Doc. The doc is spelled DOC for DocuSeries. You can go onto Facebook, type in Will You Marry Me, and every Thursday at 9 p.m., a new episode comes out. And so episode 4 comes out tomorrow evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please follow us. Give us some feedback. If you have any questions or any critiques, please inbox me and let me know. And I will be personally answering those questions and that type of thing. Love you guys.
Love you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Peace and good night.
All right. Have a good one.
And that was Milton Lawrence, producer of the Black Love docuseries, Will You Marry Me? You're tuned in to Mind, Body, and Spirit radio show, and we will be back.
You are tuned in to the Black Talk Radio Network.
All right, we're back here at the Mind, Body, and Spirit Radio Show. We just completed the interview with Milton Lawrence Jr., the producer and director, creator of the docuseries Will You Marry Me? You can catch that tomorrow night on Facebook Watch. Just go to Facebook and type in Will You Marry Me, and you'll be able to pull that up. Or you just go to willyoumarryme.doc.com. You'll be able to locate that. Watch some of those episodes. They're not long episodes, so you can catch up with all three of them in about, 45 minutes. All right? You'll be caught up, ready for episode 4 tomorrow night, Thursday night, every Thursday night. I'm loving this. I'm loving. You remember when we had that Black Renaissance show, Featherlight, and we were talking about the resurgence of all these Black films and just new people coming out. I mean, look at Ava wasn't her Ava DuVernay? I mean, she's creating so much content, and so many other people. I mean, you can just go on YouTube and just see types of short films and long films, and I mean, just good gracious alive. And then we have Nollywood, we have all of these African films that are that we're able to view now. So there's just an abundance of films, and I love documentaries. I love films. I always have loved films. It's not like the TV deal, like sitting watching TV. I actually study films. I look at the cinematography. I look at the underlying of subliminal messages. I mean, I look at them. I look at the lighting. I look at the acting, the directing. You know, how they were able to create this character. I really, really, really study all of that. So I'm just absolutely elated about all of this. So I look forward to seeing more of our young people and older people like myself that say, hey, look, I've always wanted to produce a film or a documentary, and now the door has been kicked wide open for us. Yes. Wide open for us. Wide open for us. You have people filming short films on their iPhones. Mm-hmm. So it can be done. It can be done. And then I've always said that if you don't like what you see on television, then you create something. We may watch it. Yeah, we just might watch it. We'll give it a try. You promote it, we'll watch it. So go for it. All right, Featherlight, you have a spoken word for us?
Actually, I have a little story that I would like to share. First, I want to do a Did You Know? Did you know? Did you know? The combination of letters has its own energy. Your birth name has a certain energy, and it describes your persona, your challenges, your strengths, and it's called the study of numerology. So, as a gift to our listeners, our loyal listeners, send your full name at birth to Mind, Body, and Spirit at Gmail, Mind, Body, Spirit Radio Show at gmail.com. Send us your birth name, your birth month and day and year, and we will send you your personal information based on your name and the year that you were born. Now, this is for January only, so if you're interested, I will be happy to get this information to you. It's very, very accurate. Now, I had my name legally changed years and years ago. So I have to use the name that my mother gave to me that's on my birth certificate. Well, I have both my names on my birth certificate, but the name that I was given when I was born, that's the name you have to use. Not Sissy, not Poo-Poo, Pookie, or none of these other names that you go by now, but your birth name. Now, my sister my baby sister. I'm 17 years older than she is. I did her name, and I'm just so used to this name that she had, when she was a baby. And when it came out, it wasn't quite the way I thought it would be. And then I had to remember her father. My mother changed her name within a few months after she was born, like within 3 to 6 months after she was born. Yes. And I had to think about that. And I thought, that's not her birth name. No wonder it doesn't fit. So it has to be your birth name, the name that you came here with. And this will be so accurate as to who you are, what your challenges are, your persona. It will tell some things about you that you didn't think anybody else knew. You're like, whoa. Or some things that you really weren't aware of, but it's true. So if you're interested, send us that information to mindbodyspiritradioshow@gmail.com, and we will send it right back to you. So this is a story about the porcupines, how the porcupines survived the Ice Age. And it's a story about our need for relationships. Now, Paulo Coelho tells a story about when the Ice Age came and the porcupines had to find a way to survive. Paulo Coelho is the author of the famous book called The Alchemist. Now, here's the story. At first, the porcupines decided to group together to keep warm and protect one another. Unfortunately, their spiky quills made it uncomfortable to stay in such close proximity, so they dispersed. Of course, that left them exposed to the elements, and they started to freeze to death until they realized that they needed to make a significant choice: stay apart and die, or tolerate and accept their fellow porcupines' thorns and survive. Wisely, they chose to stay together, knowing that the small wounds that they received from each other was worth it in the end. We are like porcupines. The media consistently portrays people of color as deviant, hoodlums, undesirables, thugs, etc., causing separation and apathy. So we subconsciously see ourselves in that light, as well as those who look like us. We are prickly, like the porcupine, and so often find a way to offend and take offense to those around us. And we develop this distaste, this disdain, and separation for someone who is not accepted in society. We begin to not only hate ourselves, but those who look like us, because we so want to blend in, to be accepted. And we turn our backs on each other to keep from being labeled in that undesirable group. But we need each other, just like the porcupines, to survive in this world of ours. Sometimes it can become so unbearable that we wish we could live in isolation, protected from the barbs of others. But we are created to be social beings, and being left alone only decreases our standard of living. The next time you're hurt by the prickly nature of one of your fellow porcupines, remember that you have spikes as well and can be just as challenging to live with. Let's learn to live with the sharp quills of others and hope and pray that those around us can learn to live with ours. Namaste.
Namaste, Feather Light. Surviving as a porcupine.
Mm-hmm. We need each other.
We do.
We need each other.
We do. I had a little cousin one time. She said, I don't need nobody to help me. I don't need anybody. I was like, girl, listen, we all need somebody. So, yeah, we need the help of friends, family, just people,
loved
period,
ones.
that may have the resources that you may need. So, yeah, we do need that touch. We need that communication and the interfacing and interaction with others. We really, really do. And, unfortunately, there are some people, what do you call the people, not necessarily introverts, the ones that have the phobia of people. Can't think of
yes, I don't know what the name of that is. That's a serious condition.
Like OCD or something. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a serious phobia, and you can't. It is social anxiety, but that's a little on the lower scale. But when they really, really cannot stand it, that's on a higher level. But there are some people who have social anxiety. They have problems being out.
They're like an extreme hermit. They just don't leave out the house.
Right.
Period. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, I also have like a Did You Know? This is a part of our Gemstone series piece because we're all about healing, raising our vibrations and frequencies here at Mind, Body, and Spirit. So I want to share a little bit about the green aventurine stone that I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I placed in my intention box. Mm-hmm. And I hope that people will start an intention box this year. If you have an intention that you would like to share with us, feel free to call in and share that intention, or you can email us at mindbodyspiritradioshow and at gmail.com, and you can tell us about your intentions. But I placed this green aventurine stone in my intention box. It is the stone of opportunity, thought to be the luckiest crystal of all. Especially in manifesting prosperity and wealth. It increases favor in competitions, games of chance. Its winning energy makes it a great ally for boosting one's chances in any situation. It aligns conditions, so opportunity is inevitable. And with this green aventurine stone, it can help you release old patterns, habits, and disappointments so new growth can take place. So if you want new opportunities, you want some luck or fortune, you have to let go of some things. So let go of those old patterns and habits. And with this being a new year, people setting new intentions. So use this stone to help you transition into that new you, that new, stronger version of yourself, if you will. And this stone also enhances your creativity, your motivation, and it encourages perseverance in maneuvering life's obstacles. Lord knows I need that. I don't know about anybody else, but I know I do. It also helps, it helps reinforce your decisiveness and amplifies your leadership abilities. It also injects a sense of humor and openness to the ideas of others. So, very, very good stone for, let's see. You can also place this stone, you can tape it on the back of your cell phone. And it will protect you. It will protect you from the cell phone emanations. So like all of that, what is it? What do they call it? They come out of the cell phone. Like all of the electromagnetic waves, the harmful ones that come out of these cell phones, like say cell phone, brain cancer and all that. Well, take one of these stones on the back of your phone. I need to do that before I go to bed tonight, much as I'm on my darn phone. And you know how we keep our phone in our hands and pockets and all of that. So you can take that little stone, the green aventurine, on the back of your phone to protect you.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And then one more, did you know, quickly, let me see here. Get to this. Oh, also you can use this stone to resolve blockages and rebalance your the heart chakra. So that you can understand your needs and your emotions, your emotions. So I can go on and on about this green aventurine. So Google it. We don't have enough time to go on and on about the many properties of green aventurine, but check it out. Google that so that you can be more familiar. Now, Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the first 3 people that email us and say they want a green aventurine stone, I will mail it to you.
Wow.
I will mail it because I have some extra stones. So we will gift some listeners this green aventurine stone. Now, let me talk about pears and your kidney. Now, pears are underrated. I rarely go into the store and buy pears.
Me too.
I started buying Bosch pears, BOSCH, I think, pears.
Mm-hmm.
They're the cute little brown pears, not the green ones. And they're extremely juicy. I mean,
they are.
juicy.
They are.
Yeah.
I love those. Yes, they are.
When I eat one of those pears, it reminds me of when I used to eat a Philly cheesesteak in Philadelphia. Like in Philadelphia, when you get a cheesesteak there, they say, you know it's a good one when you bite into it and the juice runs down your arm. If it doesn't run down your arm, then it's not like a good Philly cheesesteak. Yeah. So pears and kidney function. Pears help to stimulate urine elimination and kidney function to reduce edema, nephritis. I don't know what nephritis is. Kidney stones, cystis, renal inadequacy, and inflammation of the prostate. And so we know a lot of our men are having these prostate issues. So men and wives, make sure you put that on the grocery list, some pears. Get some pears, plenty of pears, put them in your little fruit basket, along with your lemons and limes and apples and oranges and all of that. So eating pears several times a week will help maintain good kidney health. Pears are an excellent source of fiber, which is good for weight loss and the heart, and they can also reduce the risk of stroke by up to 50%.
Wow.
The high content of pectin in pears help to lower cholesterol levels. And we know that's something that many people are concerned about. Mm-hmm.
Nephritis is often caused by infections and toxins, but is mostly commonly caused by autoimmune disorders that affect the major organs like kidneys. Yes.
And see, with all of these DaVita, I think it's DaVita dialysis centers popping up. Okay,
yes.
So many people have these kidney problems. You're not getting water. You're not eating your pears. So we can eradicate that whole problem. Let's just take care of ourselves. We have to. We just mentioned how this young girl, 27 years of age, suffering from asthma, had a heart attack, died. Okay, we have too many young people that are dying too early, and older people dying from illnesses that could have been prevented with the proper diet and proper lifestyle. Period. Not being stressed out, not having someone emotionally drain and strain you. So all of that works together. We just really have to adjust our lifestyles and I guess revamp our lifestyles to a more healthy lifestyle. It's not just about what we're eating. It's about how we're living and the people you have in your life. I've eliminated a lot of stressful people. I don't deal with stressful people. I can't do it. I don't do it, and it's just not my thing. So
pay attention to whom your energy increases and decreases around, because that's the universe giving you a hint of who you should embrace and who you should stray away from. If you pay attention to your body will talk to you. Especially those who are really tuned in, who have a very high frequency, like myself.
Yes.
You can feel it. You can feel it. Like, oh, I'm not feeling too good around this person. I'm going to kind of distance myself.
And speaking of which, New Year intentions, and going into this year, we have the election coming up at the end of the year, November elections. So many people have been stressed out, and they're going to become even more stressed out, especially with Trump talking about he got nuclear buttons that are bigger than Kim Jong-un and all of this stuff that they have going
Childish
on.
mess.
Oh, Lord have mercy. So I just want to say, people, don't panic. Do not panic. In fact, speaking of elections, let me go back to this quote from Frances Ellen Harper, another one of my favorites. Let me see. Okay, so we don't want to be stressed out about all of this voting and carrying on. Election, hey, it's going to be all right, people. If you want to vote, go vote. If you don't want to vote, okay, then don't vote. Don't discourage anybody else to vote. Don't take care of you. You do what you got to do. Now, this is something that Frances Ellen Harper wrote about voting. I do not think the mere extension of the ballot a panacea for all the ills of our national life. What we need today is not simply more voters, but better voters. So let's be better voters. If you vote, let's just be a better voter, be an educated voter. Research these candidates. Get involved with the elections. If there's someone that you like, then go out and canvass for that person. So just don't stress yourself out about it. Just once you do all that you can do and you've done your best, then you've done all that you can do.
Let it go.
Let it go. Just let it go. What do you think about farming for Black people, Feather? Like, some people they're not interested in farming because they relate it to slavery, so they don't want to be on a farm. They don't want to farm. They want to live a city life. So what do you think about farming and Black folks?
I'm all for it. It's in our DNA to raise our own food. You know where your food is coming from. You know what's in it. It's much healthier for you. The foods that are available for us in the stores now, a lot of it is really not food anymore. It's
right.
It's made up, and so it's really causing a lot of harm to our bodies. So
yeah,
I'm all for
and
it.
A lot of health practitioners, not just doctors. I mean, like real health practitioners or health scholars. They'll tell you that the outer perimeter is where the real food is, in those aisles in the center. Notice how in most grocery stores now they have the dog food, like right in the center. It's like right there in the center of the store behind the cashiers.
Yeah, they sure do, don't they?
And what is it, like the seasonal gifts and all of that, seasonal items, things like that. All of that's like right there in the center in a lot of the grocery stores. So right on the outer perimeter, like where the produce is, that's your real food. But then nowadays, they have so many foods that fruits and vegetables that are made in labs now. It used to be a time when you go in a grocery store, you couldn't find certain food because it was out of season.
Out of season.
Now you see this stuff all the time. You see
strawberries all year long,
watermelons all year long. So that stuff is coming out of the lab.
Seedless watermelons.
Right. Okay. So many Black and Latino people live in food deserts. And a food desert is an area that has limited access to healthy, fresh, and affordable fruits and vegetables. So basically, this is a place where there aren't any grocery stores within a mile or more for people to be able to go and obtain food. So now, like, we can go to the bodegas and all of these little convenience stores, and they have candy, chips, soda, ramen noodles, and all of that, but they don't have food. It's not like a fruit market in many of these areas, or fruit and vegetable. Now, that's one thing I noticed, like when I moved to Texas and being around different cultures. The Mexicans, they have the fruterias, but they have the little meat market. They have the fruits and vegetables. They will establish one of those fruterias in every neighborhood they're in. And we need more of that. I just moved down here to Galveston. There's one grocery store. That's a Kroger on the main drag, the seawall. If it wasn't for this little Mexican store that's less than a mile from me, then there wouldn't be a quick little store that I could run to, walk up to, and get some fruits and vegetables. So we as Black people, we're either going to have to come up with some stores or we're going to have to come up with some gardens. Okay?
Right.
So, absolutely. So, according to PolicyLink, nationwide study findings show low-income zip codes have 25% fewer chain supermarkets and 1 to 3 times as many convenience stores compared to middle-income zip codes. Predominantly Black zip codes have about half the number of chain supermarkets compared to predominantly white zip codes, and predominantly Latino areas have only a third as many. So one reason why we should engage in agriculture, the food that is best for you nutritionally is the food that took the shortest time to get off the vine to your plate. Also, by growing it yourself, you ensure that there aren't any harmful hormone imbalances, cancer-causing pesticides, herbicides, etc. You avoid the risk of eating more GMO foods. Another reason is for economic empowerment. So we'll pick back up on why we should engage in farming, but let's take our break and we're going to come back with our African Spirit segment where we are celebrating the Honorable Dr. John Henrik Clarke. Okay, so I think Scotty must have picked off on us. So let me just pick up on. I do our African Spirit music. Yeah. All right. So tonight we are honoring. So you gotta make it do what it do, baby. You just gotta make it do what it do. You gotta keep going on with the flow. So tonight we are honoring Dr. John Henrik Clarke, one of my favorites. Dr. John Henrik Clarke, writer, historian, professor, an American historian, and a pioneer in the creation of Pan-African and Africana studies and professional institutions in academia starting in the late 1960s. Born January 1st, 1915, Lord Jesus, 1915, in Union Springs, Alabama. He died July 16th, 1998 in Manhattan, New York. July 16th, that's Ida B. Wells' birthday. His spouse was Sybil Williams, and children, Sonny Kojo Clarke, and Zinga Marie Clarke, and Lily Clarke. He was educated at Columbia University, California Miramar University, and New York University. In 1986, the Africana Library was named in honor of John Henrik Clarke, and who was widely recognized, as we mentioned, as a pioneer in the field of Africana studies. He played an important role in the early history of Cornell University's Africana Studies and Research Center. He was a distinguished visiting professor of African history at this center in the 1970s. He also made an invaluable contribution to the enrichment of its curricula. Dr. Clarke is the author of numerous articles that have appeared in leading scholarly journals. He also served as the author, contributor, or editor of 24 books. In 1968, along with the Black Caucus of the Africana Studies Association, Dr. Clarke founded the African Heritage Studies Association. In 1969, he was appointed as the founding chairman of the Black and Puerto Rican Studies Department at Hunter College in New York City. He was most known and highly regarded for his lifelong devotion to studying and documenting the histories and contributions of African peoples in Africa, and the diaspora. He's often quoted as stating that history is not everything, but it's a starting point.
Mm.
Let's see. In 2002, Malika Kitty Asante listed Dr. John Henrik Clarke as one of the 100 greatest African Americans. You can watch his documentary, A Great and Mighty Walk. I've watched it several times, love the documentary. So check out his documentary, and you can also Google him, of course, and purchase some of the books that he's written or edited. And that is Dr. John Henrik Clarke.
Thank you.
Yeah,
an excellent person to honor.
Indeed.
Excellent. So much information. So many YouTube videos to follow and just garner so much from him.
Yes. And Dr. Ben's birthday was December 31st. And so, Dr. Ben and Dr. Clarke, they were great friends. They would always speak together, but often were on panels together. And so his birthday was December 31st. So we just want to say happy birthday to Dr. Ben as well. Happy born day. Happy Earth Day.
Happy Earth Day.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So, like you have
I actually have a quote before I do.
Okay.
I have another quote that is apropos for the season. You are the gift. Enjoy the present. You are the gift. Enjoy the present. Now, I have a little funny Christmas story I wanted to share. Like so many parents back in the 70s and 80s, I told my child that this big, fat, red man would bring presents to good little girls and boys every year, right? That was the worst parental mistake, or I won't say mistake, decision ever. Because when my daughter found out through my sister, who's 17 years younger than me, and just 3 years older than my daughter, there is no Santa Claus. They've been lying to you. So it's all a lie. It's all a lie. She sent me through guilt tunnel for years, all through high school, all through college, and through college again. And into adulthood, I would get this. This is the conversation. You told me it was the Santa Claus.
You told Harpo to beat me.
And what happened to all those pennies? Because she would save pennies. And she'd leave them out for Santa Claus. And she said, what happened to all those pennies that I would leave out for Santa Claus? And I would say, for the 100th time, dear, I put those pennies in your piggy bank. And then she'd say, well, what about all those cookies that I made in the milk? For the 100th time, dear, I drank the milk and I ate the cookies. So for years and years, I really felt bad for lying to my daughter. But it was something that we all did, you know? All the parents back in the 70s and 80s, we told our children this lie about Santa Claus, when actually we were the ones who were going out spending our hard-earned money buying all these gifts. And as my daughter grew up, she was the only child. She was my husband's only daughter, only child, and my only child. So naturally, she was lavished with lots of gifts. Now, I didn't believe in brand name stuff. I just wasn't into that. And I didn't buy a whole lot of techie stuff, just whatever was really popular. But as she got older, I would buy so many gifts because I just could never buy enough to show my daughter how proud I was of her and how much I loved her. And then I started thinking, because she was an adult, I started thinking, I really don't believe in this. You know, it's so commercial. people run around. I mean, I'm not knocking anybody who buys gifts during a holiday. This is just me. And so I told her, I decided one year, I said, and she would always say, Mom, what do you want? And I would never know because it's not something that I focused on. I want this for Christmas, like whatever you get. So I just decided I'm just going to buy you a year, an end of the year gift. And that's what you do for me. Just something, whatever, just an end of the year. And it doesn't have to come on Christmas. It can come the 26th, 27th, it can come January 5th, whatever. And so that's what we decided to do. And we've been doing that for years now. And also, I didn't feel that I needed a day created by someone else to show my appreciation and love and what have you to someone else. So I started just buying things for people that I cared about, and I called it a happy. So I would buy 5, 10, 15, 30, whatever amount of money that I had to spend, and whatever I saw that I thought that they would like or would make them happy. And I would say, I bought you a happy, and it would be all through the year. So the point is, we don't really need a day to lavish someone with a bunch of gifts. You can gift someone all year long. They may not make it to Christmas. You can buy someone a happy just to show them that you care about them any time of the year, anytime. And one other thing I wanted to say right quickly about things. Things do not necessarily make you happy. They should not make you happy. My little nephew, who was brought up on things, and because my little sister was brought up on things, he said to my niece, his sister, he said, because he bought a lot of expensive gifts for everybody, he said, Did I buy the most gifts this year? Did I outdo everybody? And she looked at him and she said, no, Dad did. And then he said, well, was I second? And she said, yeah, you were second. So that lets me know that he was so into proving himself as to how much he cared by putting a lot of money into gifts. And we shouldn't get so mixed up with Christmas like that. So that's kind of what I wanted to share. Now, love the body. I have a recipe here, and I will put it on. I did put something on our Mind, Body, and Spirit page. I put pictures of Black Rose and myself enjoying our dream, our life dream. So when you have a little moment, just click on and see of us fulfilling our dream. And are you fulfilling your dream? This is a carrot cake smoothie. It's 1 serving of vanilla protein, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, 2 tablespoons of walnut or almond butter, 1 cup of chopped carrots, raw or roasted, 2 cups of unsweetened coconut milk, and a handful of spinach. So blend all of this, and it is absolutely delicious. Delicious. We're in the cold season now, so in a lot of areas, we're making history with this cold weather. So this time of the year, you're more likely to feel a little tickle in your throat that marks the start of a pesky cold that we've just gotten over ourselves. So I wanted to give the audience a couple of tips, things that you can do to build up your immune system. Since moving Mind, Body, and Spirit radio show to the islands, moving in itself can be very stressful, but moving to another city, another town is triple stressful. So our immune systems were down a bit. So here's something you can do. When you first feel that little tickle in your throat, gargle 3 times a day with pink Himalayan salt in very, very warm water, as warm as you can take it. I remember we did that as children. You have to be consistent. You can't just do it once, which is what I did. Be consistent, as if your doctor told you. You know, your doctor says, take this 3 times a day, and you do it religiously. Do this too. Safeguard your immune system to give yourself the best chance of being healthy. Add garlic to all of your meals. Garlic is famous for strong antimicrobial properties, making it the perfect thing to add to your daily routine to boost your immune system during these times. Studies have shown that it's 100 times more effective at fighting common causes of intestinal illness than 2 commonly prescribed antibiotics. So chop up raw garlic clove and add it to your hummus, your salad dressing, or soup. Or if you're feeling extra brave, just put some chopped garlic in a spoon and pour some olive oil on top and take it straight. Now, I did do something similar to that because I had an abscess about 4 years ago, and I couldn't really get an appointment in right away. And I remembered that garlic was good. It was like an antibiotic, which I try to stay away from if I can. And I just took a small piece of garlic and I stuck it in my mouth and just right next to the abscess. And actually, I don't think it was even overnight. It was within hours. Then it actually went down. I ended up not even going to the dentist. Not for that particular thing anyway. So keep some garlic. Keep up your daily meditation routine. Your meditating helps you to deal with the problems that you're going to have to face. It helps you to deal with it a lot better. 10%, life is really 10% that happens to you, things that happen to you, and 90% of how you handle it. It's how you handle it, because it's going to happen. But mostly, we cause a lot of problems on ourselves. When you meditate, you have a clear mind and you can deal with things. Stress can really pull the rug out from under your immune system. So holidays, the holiday season, and getting sick and everything, that it makes you want to skip your meditation, but don't do that. Mindfulness practice, whatever you do that helps you keep your head on straight. If it's just going for a walk, just going to sit in the park, or just being in a room by yourself and listening to music. Okay, so keep up your meditation. Your body will thank you. Your immune system will thank you. This is very important. Check your vitamin D levels. Vitamin D interacts with your immune cells in your body in very important ways, and a deficiency in this vitamin is actually linked to more infections and even your autoimmune diseases. Vitamin D deficiency has been linked with the sudden rise of cancer in African Americans because our natural sun blocker melanin, it was meant to be a benefit since we of African descent were so close to the equator. It was necessary, but we were taken from our natural habitat. In addition to that, we spend much more time indoors, living in this area, and as opposed to Africans living in the homeland. They spend a lot of time outside. So I would suggest starting with some salmon, some cod liver oil. I take vitamin D3, D as in David, 2,000 IU units of vitamin D every day. I just drop about 5 drops in some water. That's the easiest way, much easier than taking capsules. So, and you're going to drink water every day, so just put 5 or 6 drops in water. And when I went back to the doctor, because vitamin D was low, I went back to the doctor. It was a little bit higher than was recommended, so it worked. Sweat it out in an infrared sauna. Sweating actually can improve your health. It makes it harder for the germs to hang around in our bodies. So go to a sauna, take a hot steam bath. It's really, 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 really good for you. So a lot of times we spend too much time indoors. Make golden milk. I gave this recipe a while back. Golden milk, coconut milk, turmeric. Mix some black pepper with the turmeric. Cinnamon, honey, unfiltered, raw. Not the cheap kind. It's $3, $2. The main ingredient in turmeric is curcumin, curcumin. And this is extremely powerful. Oh, my gosh. About 600 potential health benefits of turmeric have been found already. So Do that. Make you some golden milk. Just turmeric and mix it with the pepper and coconut milk and some cinnamon and honey. It's actually delicious. Delicious. Sleep, and more sleep. Sleep is arguably the most crucial wellness practice of them all. It might be even more important than nutrition and exercise and mindfulness. Who knows? The bottom line is that we aren't getting adequate hours of deep, high-quality sleep. Just saying that you're going to bed and then getting deep, high-quality sleep is different. We aren't functioning as well as we could be when we don't get this type of sleep. Our mood, energy levels, immune system, they will not function properly if you're not getting the proper amount of good, deep, quality sleep. It increases your chances of getting a cold if you're not getting enough sleep. So this is the time of year to shut down those electronic devices, people. When you're getting in the bed, shut it down. Shut it down. Drink chamomile tea and just, rest your body. Sometimes you just need to park the car. Park the car in the garage. And get you some rest. Okay. So that is my Love the Body for today.
All right. Well, I love all of that. I need to start trying the vitamin D drops in my water.
You do.
In the morning.
You do. I just ordered some more because I was out. I love it. And you can get flavors. You can get lemon. You can get citrus. Actually, I really can. I put peppermint in my water, peppermint oil in my water when I drink it. Good for your stomach. But unlike pills, pills you're like, oh, but this is so much easier. Now it's not cheap. It's not cheap, the drops, but oh my gosh, it is so worth. It's about $13, $14. The high potency that I get, you can get 1,000 units and take more, but I get to 2,000 units. So you can probably get 1,000 units for about $10. I ordered over Amazon, but it's so worth it because the vitamin D, they're not telling you people, it really causes a lot of diseases. Cancer, it attacks your autoimmune system. And a lot of people, especially people of color, we think that, oh, shucks, I don't need any vitamin D. I mean, we're black people. We get plenty of sun. I'm outside. But we have a layer of melanin. My tongue is really tied up this week, today. And it's blocking the sun because it was meant to, because we were originally close to the equator. So this was supposed to be a benefit for us, but we were taken from our homeland, brought over to all parts of the world. We spent a lot of time inside, and we're not getting proper vitamin D. And most people, as we get older, we find ourselves lactose intolerant. We're not supposed to be drinking milk anyway. Cow's milk, we're not calves. So we're not getting our vitamin D through that. And a lot of people have stopped eating eggs, going vegetarian. So get you some drops, some liquid drops, and get your vitamin D back up.
Yes.
And your body will thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes. All right. So are we ready to... Did you have something else you want to share?
No, I'm ready to breathe.
Breathe. Okay. All right. People, let's breathe.
Breathe.
Take a deep, conscious breath. You're aware that you're breathing, and you're controlling your breath. Place your hands on your lower abdomen, which is your energy core, and just breathe. Women, left hand over right. Men, right hand over left. Keeping your shoulders relaxed and down. Inhale, then exhale, and drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. Now slightly tuck in your chin and softly breathe. Now take a deep breath, inhale, and lift your head back to the center. Exhale and gently drop your left ear to your left shoulder. Slightly tuck in your chin, keeping your shoulders down and relaxed. Breathe. Just breathe. Now take a deep inhale back to the center. Continue your deep breathing. And as you inhale, imagine connecting with your spirit, your higher self. The deeper the inhale, the stronger the connection. Just breathe and pay attention to your breath as it comes through your nose, past your relaxed throat, past your relaxed chest, and feel your abdomen. It's conscious breathing. Now drop your hands to your sides and breathe normally. Raise your hands up over your head with your palms facing each other a few inches apart and look upward and gather some good heavenly chi, good energy, and slowly bring the energy down over your crown, over your face, past your chest, to your energy core, your abdomen, and pushing down towards your feet. Once more, raise your arms up over your head. And a tip, the slower your movements, the more energy you will feel. Raise your arms up over your head, your palms facing each other a few inches apart. Now bring down the chi and shower your body with good energy. The crown, your chest, your abdomen. And last time, up over your head. Now this time, form a triangle with your hands. Slowly bring down the chi past your crown, your chest, and center it in your energy core center, to your lower abdomen, and hold it there. Take a deep breath. Concentrate on that energy center, and just breathe. Inhale 4, exhale 6. Inhale to the count of 4 again. Exhale to the count of 6. One last time. Inhale 4. Exhale 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now stop and totally relax. Bring your palms together to your chest in the Anjali Mudra, or the praying hands position. Smile. Smiling sends a message to your brain to relax. Take a small bow and say namaste. And thank you for joining us in our pranayama and our qigong session for tonight. We will see you again next week. Namaste.
Namaste. And good night. We'll be back next week. Be sure to tune in.
Happy New Year, everyone.